I just got this little saw come in yesterday. Apparently it revs up and down when you move the handle. So the guy thinks it's the boot between the carburetor and the engine. So I'm just going to take that apart and just examine the boot, because it is a common problem on the Stihl saws with the boots. They crack and then you lose air and it just doesn't run right. By taking it apart, first of all you want to remove the chain and the bar and the clutch cover. It's just going to make it easier to work on if you remove the bar and chain. So now we'll remove the air breather and the air filter. Next, they're going to need a 5/16 socket for these two little nuts here. Once you've got the two nuts off, this whole cover here is going to come off. Next, you want to remove the choke cleaver, so be very careful with this because it is brittle. Just by pushing on it like this with a screwdriver, it'll come off. The next thing you need to remove is the torx screw right here. Next, you need to remove the torx screws on the handle, and they're a T20. But there's one here, one there, and I believe one went here, but it's missing. When you remove this part of the handle, just be very careful when it starts to come off, because you want to keep everything in the order it is. You want to remember how to put it back together. So just hold it while you remove the last torx screw. Okay, so that's loose. So now this part of the handle is going to separate itself. Just be gentle. If it doesn't want to come off, just use a screwdriver at the bottom here. There. So I'm just going to show you exactly how it's supposed to be set up in there, because it could come apart. You're going to have to take it apart. This is how it goes. It's a good reference to go back to the video if you forget how it went in. So I'll just give you a few more seconds here. So what you can do now is grab this linkage here and pull it right up. You can set it down on your worktop like this, just to remember the order that it went in. Next, this is going to come off. I'm taking them off because they end up popping off anyways. Remember, the little spring goes underneath, like that. And I'm just going to put it on my bench in this order. So I'm going to show you at the back here how the linkage is. You can see that it's hooked in like that, and this little linkage here goes to the throttle butterfly of the carburetor. So I'm just going to flip it back on its side, and this little piece of plastic here that holds the other side of the linkage can be popped up. It goes into a notch here from the pin. So be very gentle doing this, and remember where the linkage went on the other side. So it's just going to pop up like that, and then push it back toward the carburetor like this. So you can see I still have it on there. Just remove this fuel line here. These rubbers here are stuck in the fuel mixture screws for the carburetor. Just pop it out, and then the carburetor should come up. And don't forget the small piece of the linkage mechanism here, and hold it like that. So the little plastic fell in, that's not a problem. I'll show you how to put that back together when I put the new parts in. So I'll just pull out, and the linkage is on the carburetor. So now I've got the carb in my hands, so with the linkage on it. So this is how this little linkage goes on the carburetor. So I'll show you how to do that when we reassemble it. And I've got the little plastic piece here as well. And I'm just going to put that aside in a container. The next thing you need to do is pop off this plastic cover here. You can just do that with a screwdriver. Pull it right out. So here's what I want to examine is this boot here. Now a lot of pressure is on that boot from the handle moving like this. You can see that the boot moves. Now I've noticed right at the bottom, if I pull on the handle, you can see a small crack down here. So here's a better look. You can actually see inside the metal part. So that hole here is enough to make it not run right there. So that definitely needs to be replaced. So now at this point you need to remove this metal part here and the little insert here. You can grab a little pick like this and grab this insert, and for this washer here you can just pull on it evenly. And that'll come off. To get this side of the boot off, simply use a screwdriver that's not too sharp and push it in like that. Basically just like a grommet. And that'll free up the back. So at this point here, I'm just going to show you where we're at. That's off. I'm going slow because it might be hard for a novice who's never done this before. So you can see that the handle is separated from the top of the boot. The next thing to do is to grab a flat screwdriver and push this up here. What this piece of plastic is basically the clip that's holding the boot to the engine. So just pry it up. It's just going to come off like that. And now you can grab the plastic clip, bring it all the way up. Take it off. Now it's just a matter of removing the boot from the intake here. So just pull on the boot and it'll come off just by pulling. And you can see where the boot is punctured right here. You can see a hole right through, and that will cause major problems. It can be hard to notice because it's hidden down in there, and people may not think about that, but that's definitely a problem. Anyways, I'm going to call and order this part, and in the meantime I've plugged the hole of the intake with a piece of shop towel. Before I reassemble it, I'm going to use my compressed air and blow out all the dirt that's in here. I'm also going to take apart the carburetor before I put it back on. So in my next video I'll show you how to do that, and we'll see you then.